Hello again, everybody. Don Stevens, Horseman Don here on the Horseman Don YouTube channel. And I'm back with my good friend Michael Chamberlain, coming to you from his man cave over in another part of Louisiana. Michael, how you doing today?
Doing great, Don. Doing great. Ready for the NFL Draft edition of the Sports Sphere.
Sports Sphere, that's right. It still doesn't roll off my tongue, but I'm getting used to it. Anyway, we had a couple of great videos last week, got some fantastic reaction off of that. Thanks for watching on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe. Horseman Don is the channel. Leave a comment, give us a thumbs up if you like the video, and please come back and watch more. We're trying to build this video up. And as we're quarantined, these are the type of videos we're going to be doing. So
yeah, pretty much. I mean, I can't remember the last time I was out of the house.
I need a haircut and a shave, as you can see. So it's been a little while for myself as well. Okay, so to set up today's show, we're going to talk about the NFL draft picks. We're going to talk about some famous second picks in the draft. Everybody talks about the number one pick. There's been some very famous names that were second picks in the draft. And Michael, I might give you a trivia question or two about that. Also, we're going to handicap a race from Wednesday at Will Rogers Downs in Claremore, Oklahoma.
And you're wearing your OU shirt too.
Yeah, I got my OU shirt right on here. Represent Oklahoma, but Claremore, I mean, come on, it's the center of the world. That Fauner Park now have taken on a whole new meaning in the racing world since all this happened. It's not to make fun of them. Delta's a small track too, but not a lot of people betting to Will Rogers before this thing happened. So anyway, let's start things off. Thursday night is the draft. Do you get into the draft every year? I know you do fantasy and all that.
I watch the first day, the first round, and go through that, and it's very intriguing to me to see how the teams maneuver and see where certain guys they think, well, we're going to go here, and no, they end up going here, and to see how it plays out. As the weekend wears on, and you get into the 5th and 6th and 7th round, and then I kind of lose interest in. Although that may be a different story this year. I don't know what else we're going to have to watch this weekend. Yeah. So, but I'm definitely going to be tuning in on Thursday night for what should be an exciting first round.
Yeah, I mean, years past, I'm like you on that, except with my Seahawks, I watch every pick, of course, and once I hear these names I've never heard of before, because I often take some players, obscure players, I go back and watch on YouTube or their plays from last year in college and whatever. So if you have a favorite team, it's always great. Okay, let's go down the top, not 5. We're different here on the Horseman Don Show, the Sports Sphere. We go top 6, top 6 players. And we're going to start off with, and Michael's going to give you his morning line. He writes the morning line at a vein.
Yes, I do.
And he's going to give us his morning line of these players going where they're supposed to go or maybe being traded away, because that's always a wild card on draft day. So let's start off with number 1. Obviously, Joe Burrow. Is he going to Cincinnati? What's the morning line odds? What do you think?
I think that's 1-9 that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to make Joe Burrow, the quarterback from Louisiana State, number 1 pick in the draft this year. They need a quarterback. Andy Dalton's time, I believe, is done. They do have a coach there that last year, they brought him in, Zach Taylor, new coach there that didn't get off to the best start. I mean, that a prolonged losing streak to start the season before they finally got on track. So it kind of gives him a new blank slate to start with, starting with a new quarterback. And Burrow is quite good. We saw him all year here in Louisiana, dominating the action throughout the season and winning a national championship. So I think there's no doubt. Joe Burrow
too. He won the Heisman.
And the Heisman. That's right. He won the Heisman. So there, when not a lot of these guys that win the Heisman that go number 1 overall. But I think Joe Burrow is the real deal, and I think he'll be the number 1 pick of the Bengals.
How can he make the Bengals any worse, Plus, the fact that he's an Ohio guy, so he kind of is going back home, right? He's 6'4", 216 pounds. I'll give you some stats here. 76% completion rate in the SEC, a very tough defensive league last year. 5,671 yards, 60 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. These are like Madden stats for playing video games, don't you?
And it's not like as you said, he's doing this in the SEC. He's not like he's doing this in the Big 12, where every game is 60 to 50. He's doing this in the SEC, which is probably the closest level to the NFL you're going to get when you're talking about college football. And I think, and you mentioned the size, 6'4", and he's got the big long arm and everything. I think he's going to be a good professional, and I think he's definitely worthy of going number 1 overall to those Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, and I don't know if it's possible. As the year went along last year, and he's got more upside, which is even scary. He just needs some tools around him there in Cincinnati. That's the thing of that. Okay, second pick goes to the Washington Redskins, and they might go defensive end here in, who is that?
Chase Young from Ohio State. And I think that the morning line of him being taken by the Redskins at this pick is about 3-1. So very good odds that they're going to take him. There is the possibility with this pick and the next pick with Detroit that this pick could get traded. Ron Rivera is now the coach in Washington. I'm sure he wants the defensive guy. I'm sure he wants his defensive guy in Chase Young to rush off the edge and give a lot of pressure to those quarterbacks in the NFC East. And Chase Young is the kind of guy that's going to be able to do that. But if a team like Miami or the Chargers were to think, we want a quarterback here, and if we wait in our own slots at 5 and 6 respectively, maybe we need to move up either to number 2 with Washington or number 3 with Detroit. They may go ahead and try to swing a deal, but I think the smart pick for the Redskins right now, having taken Dwayne Haskins, the quarterback last year, is to go ahead and take Chase Young and now start to fortify that defense.
Well, I'll tell you what, my wife is a big Ohio State fan. She's from Dayton, Ohio, so we watch about every Ohio State game, and a bunch of them are shown because they're often in the top 5 nationally. And this guy is a monster. I've seen him play a lot. 6'5", 265 pounds. In 2019, last year, 16 and a half sacks. Forced fumbles. I mean, he can cause havoc in your backfield for sure. So I think that's right. I wish he would play for the Seahawks, but we don't have a pick that. So we'll just go on from there. Okay, third pick now, the lowly Lions. My mother-in-law lived in Detroit for many years. She now lives in Florida. Big Lions fan, and every year disappointed. Anyway, who's the player that might go? By the way, we mentioned Chase Young. He's from Maryland originally. I want to throw that in. Where do they go?
Well, I think the Lions, I think they're looking at the defensive backfield here. Again, if they don't trade, this is one of the possibilities where Miami could trade up in here to get Tua Tagovailoa. However, if they do not trade, I think Detroit's going to stay there and take Jeff Okudah, cornerback also from Ohio State. He is supposed to be really strong in that defensive backfield. That is one of the weaknesses, one of the many weaknesses the Detroit Lions have, I might add. But one of the weaknesses that they do have. And the other thing you have to consider here, if you're thinking Detroit might make a trade here, the coach, Matt Patricia, and the general manager also have been told by the ownership, you got to win. And if you don't win this year, you're going to go. So I think that they're going to go ahead and keep this pick, take Okudah, and try to start building something up there in Detroit defensively and try to get themselves, if not able to contend for the playoffs, at least get themselves up there in the running.
Yeah, Matt Patricia, another one of those Bill Belichick guys that hasn't won yet.
I know.
Okay.
I think I saw a stat something other that if they had held every fourth quarter lead that they had last year, they only won 3 games.
Yeah.
I think they would have won something like 9 or 10 games had they held every fourth quarter lead they had last year. So, they got to close these games out. And I know Stafford was hurt last season, and that was a problem. But I think they go defensive backfield here.
Okay, and Jeff Okudah is from Grand Prairie, Texas originally, 6'1", 200 pounds, 3 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and a 4.48 40-yard in the combine, by the way. Okay, we go to pick number 4.
Tying into our last video, Grand Prairie, Texas, the home of Lone Star Park, which is where Jim Byers works.
Byers is the announcer. Hey, good catch. Also, what is your morning line that Jeff Okudah goes to the Lions?
I'm going to go ahead and say that that's 6-1. I think that there's definite possibility of a trade here. However, I think that it's I'd say 5 or 6-1, somewhere in that neighborhood for Jeff Okudah to be with that pick going to Detroit.
Okay, so we go down to number 4. Now the G-Men, the Giants, okay, up in New York. They got a great Saquon Barkley last year, of course, and he proved to be very talented. Poor guy, he's just on a bad team. Maybe they'll get better. I don't know. You've possibly got him going offensive line here to protect the quarterback, so tell me your story.
Well, to help out with Barkley and to help out with the quarterback Daniel Jones out of Duke, who they just recently drafted, I think that you're going to see one of 2 names in this position, either Jedrick Wills Jr. out of Alabama or Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa. Those are very strong offensive line possibilities for the New York Giants in this position. They've got to get that front line of the offensive line built up to protect the quarterback and allow the running back to get going. So I think the Giants, I've seen a couple of mock drafts that say they might reach for a wide receiver here, but if you're going to take a receiver, there's so much receiving talent back toward the bottom of the first round. I think the Giants, if they're looking to take a receiver, just trade back And, you'll still be able to get something very decent in the receiver category if you do that, and you'd actually pick up some draft capital. If they're going to go ahead and take the pick, and I think it's probably about 6-1 they're going to take a pick here. I think they go with one of the two offensive linemen I mentioned, Jedrick Wills Jr. out of Alabama or Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa.
Yeah, Jedrick Wills Jr., 6'5", 320 pounds from Lexington, Kentucky. I didn't watch any film on Wirfs, but this Wills guy, he can pancake people, I'm telling you. And he played good, and he played in a good, the SEC, which is obviously a plus for him. So I like that as well. Okay, we move on to number 5 here. Pick number 5. I see him grabbing a quarterback. They need a quarterback. That's what you've got penciled in, right?
Okay, Ryan Fitzpatrick, all well and good, but Miami's got a ton of draft capital. They've got a lot of picks over the course of the draft this year. And I think that, as we mentioned earlier, they could move up to take this player if they think he may not be here at 5. But the way we've got things falling with just taking the picks and not trading, Tua Tagovailoa out of Alabama has been tied to the Miami Dolphins from the get-go. When the draft order was announced that he is coming out of into the draft, I think that it's likely going to be a marriage that's going to actually come to fruition. I will say that, some of the injury questions, I've seen a couple of mock drafts here and there that have him dropping down and maybe losing, if Miami wants him, and, Miami, as I said, has been tied to him all the way along, I think that they're just going to go ahead and grab him.
Yeah, he had an ugly hip injury, right? It came in the 9th game against Mississippi State. And but before that, 71.4% completions, 33 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 2,840 yards. You know what surprised me about him? He's only 6'1". On TV, he looks taller than that, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. I know. And, you don't think of him as a short quarterback or a shortish quarterback.
Right. I think of tall and lanky.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the way he plays and the way he gets himself into position to make the throws. That's really what's important here. And again, the injuries, you wonder if he loses a little bit of that mobility with those injuries, but I don't think it's going to be a big issue for him. And I think the Dolphins have been looking at him all the way along, and I think they're going to go ahead and pull the trigger. I'll put the odds on this one also here at about 5 or 6-1.
Yeah, now he's, of course, native of Hawaii, of course, like we mentioned, and a lefty. Jim Zorn comes to mind. Who's your famous quarterback from Minnesota? Tarkenton.
Left guy. But the other thing, Steve Young, who I'm just going to say this sentence and let it go. I think he's the single most overrated quarterback in the history of the National Football League.
Oh, he was great in the USFL, though.
And I love the USFL, despite the fact there's certain people that are associated with it that really tarnish it. However, I never got the romanticism of everything. Everyone was saying that Steve Young was this fabulous. Give me Montana. If you want to talk 49ers quarterback, Montana was number 1.
Gamer. Yeah.
Just my personal opinion. You don't have. Obviously, I know there'll be folks out there that will disagree.
Do you rank him as a better commentator? Football player?
I think he's got a lot of interesting things to say when he's on Pardon the Interruption and when he's on Monday Night Football. And by the way, we're talking about left-handed quarterbacks. We cannot forget the State, Ken Stabler. That was
there you go. I forgot about it. Absolutely. Well, that one Steve Young run that they always show on ESPN where he avoids dives. That is a pretty incredible run. You got it. Okay. I know. Okay, and we don't go 5. We go bonus 6 top picks. The 6th pick in the NFL draft will be called out by the Chargers unless they trade, and you got them also going quarterback, huh?
Yes, I do. And I also want to make a point here that the Chargers released their new uniforms for the season today.
Yeah. What did they look like? I didn't see them.
My goodness. They are phenomenal.
Oh, you like them, huh?
Chargers who mess up everything 9 ways to Sunday. I rooted for this team since when they were in San Diego, and then when they left, I said, you know what? That's the all-time stupid Charger move. I'm out. I'm rooting for the Vikings now. Yeah. Those uniforms that go look at them on Twitter. Oh my God.
Are they radically changed? I didn't see them.
They got the powder blue with the white, powder blue with gold pants. They've got 2 different color rush uniforms, a dark navy and a regular royal blue. They are incredible.
I never thought of you as a fashion guy, but I know the Patriots came out with a new uniform the other day, and all it was bigger stripes. It looked like that was.
And they're going to wear all blue, I guess. I guess they ditched the silver band.
I like that. That's okay.
I think they look good. I think they look good. Absolutely. I think they look good. I think
who's the pick for the Chargers now?
The Chargers in those new uniforms will be quarterback Justin Herbert out of Oregon. Who, and a lot of what has been said about Tua Tagovailoa going to the Dolphins is tied to the Chargers here. Phillip Rivers is gone. He's now in Indianapolis. I can't see them going with Tyrod Taylor as the starting quarterback into the season. They go with him as the starter. They're going to have somebody right behind him to be able to pick up the slack when Tyrod Taylor does what Tyrod Taylor will do. And I think that Justin Herbert, the quarterback from Oregon, is the 6th pick in the draft.
What's the odds on that?
I'll go 8-1 on that one, just in case they may pop out of there and try to get more draft capital, because there's other quarterbacks later in the round that they can get. Jordan Love out of Utah State and a couple others that are still going to be on the board. So I'm going to go ahead and say 8-1 that they end up going.
Okay, I went back and I looked at an interview with his coach, Mario. What's his name? Cristobal. Yeah. Anyway, out in Oregon. Yeah, he said some interesting things about him. He said he got A's all the way through school. He had 1 B in his whole academic career. And if we thought Tua Tagovailoa looked tall at 6'1", how tall does this guy look? 6'6", 237 pounds. I watched tall drink of water, as they call it. Anyway, last year, 66.8 percent completions, 3,471 yards, 32 TDs, 6 interceptions, and he's actually from Eugene, Oregon. I did not know that. So he was a homeboy.
He was a homeboy on the West Coast.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so there's your rundown of the top 6, not top 5. We give you top 6 here on the SportsSphere Show. Okay, now I'm going to quickly run down and give you some notables. Run down the last, I believe, 12 years of number 1 picks. You tell me if you can remember the second pick, and if not, we'll just talk about it because it's kind of interesting, okay?
Okay.
So last year was Kyler Murray. So who was second pick last year? Do you remember? I know. I don't mean to put you on the spot. I mean, I wouldn't know this either. I didn't look all this stuff up. So.
Wow. No, I don't remember it. Who was it?
I didn't know they picked this high because they went to Super Bowl. San Francisco, Nick Bosa.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's right. Because Joey Bosa's on the Chargers.
Right.
He was taken third a couple of years prior to that. Yes. Okay.
He had an incredible season. I know he played my Seahawks and he tore us up a little bit. Okay, 2018, another OU guy. Got my shirt on right here. Baker Mayfield, which his career so far. Second pick that year. You know that.
Who was the team?
Who was what team?
You got to give me the team that made the pick.
Oh, okay. The Giants behind Baker Mayfield.
Oh, that was Saquon.
Okay, that was easy. Okay, 2017 out of Texas A&M, Myles Garrett, who's been a very productive NFL player for the Browns. Chicago picked next, and they picked.
That was Trubisky, Mitchell Trubisky. Right. They traded up to do it.
Yeah, and that turned out bad.
You know, that leaves a lot to be desired.
2016, the very overrated and overpaid Jared Goff. He's in my division, so I don't like the guy. I think he's rated. Anyway, second was a Philly pick. Who was that?
Carson Wentz.
Right, exactly.
Our quarterback, 1-2, yes.
I'm not big on either one, but I would rather have Wentz than Goff, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I agree.
Although he's injury prone. 2015, Jameis Winston went to Tampa Bay and blank went to Tennessee.
Marcus Mariota, who is now with the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, and I actually think he's Jameis is just, of course, he had eye surgery, so maybe he won't throw as many interceptions this year. We'll see. But you know he's still a free agent?
Yes, he is. He's not been picked up. And when I'll say this, don't be surprised if Marcus Mariota plays a lot for the Raiders this year.
I find Carr hadn't got it done, and I don't think he just goes along with Chucky, the coach, very well. I don't know. I just don't think they get along. Anyway, 2014, my boy who we're trying to sign so much, Houston went to Jadeveon Clowney for the number 1 pick. St. Louis went to. Oh, this one I wouldn't have known this one.
Wow, oh my God, the Rams took that second pick with they were still in St. Louis. Oh,
yeah.
I don't know.
Greg Robinson.
Oh, I never would have come up with that.
Yeah,
I never would have come up with that.
No.
That may be one of the all-time worst number 2 picks right there.
2000, Kansas City went Eric Fisher. Jacksonville went
Luke Jacob.
You got it. Absolutely. Ding, ding, ding. Nice job there. He was actually on Seattle squad in 2017. I didn't even notice, and I watch every game. Anyway, 2012. Oh, God, what a year. Russell Wilson's year. But we know he wasn't taken until pick 75. Oh. Anyway, Andrew Luck goes to Indianapolis. This one should be a layup. Washington Redskins pick.
Robert Griffin.
There you go. RG3. That was an easy one. 2011. Carolina picks Cam Newton. Denver picks
Von Miller.
Right, absolutely.
And speaking of Von Miller, he's tested positive for COVID-19. We're certainly hoping that he is on the road to recovery.
Really?
Yes, he did.
I know that.
Yes,
that's
he did.
Too bad. Well, hopefully good. Anyway, 2010, OU again. Sam Bradford goes to St. Louis. Detroit chooses big
what?
Big name, big man.
Oh my goodness.
Doesn't play for Detroit anymore. Played for 2 teams since then. I'm trying to give you all these clues, but
yeah.
dirty player, does that help? Suspended or fined many times for dirty plays. Oh, you want me to just give it to you?
Is that Ndamukong Suh? That's it. That's it.
On guys' faces and helmets and all that kind
of
stuff.
You know, it's weird. I was in Lincoln, Nebraska that year. Everyone had a Detroit Lions and Ndamukong Suh jersey.
Oh, really?
All the Nebraska pro shops, and there were people wearing them around town. Oh, yeah, I should have gotten that one, yeah.
Speaking of Detroit, they picked second in 2010, but in 2009, they went number 1 with this quarterback, Matt Stafford, out of Georgia, right? Am I right? And St. Louis went. I would have never gotten this. I would have never gotten this.
Oh, my gosh. St. Louis went number 2.
I don't even remember this player, so that's how dumb I am.
No, go ahead.
Jason Smith? I don't know.
I don't know.
This one was interesting. This is the last year I had some notables. 2008, Miami chose Jake Long. St. Louis, again, number 2, picked.
I haven't followed my Rams draft history, apparently.
Well, they picked number two, then they picked number 1. I mean, they were bad year after year.
Yeah, they were bad, right?
So following Jake Long that year, believe this or not, Chris Long. 2 Longs went first and second.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
And they're not even related. I didn't even know that. Anyway, let me run down the notables from years past, and you give an opinion if you have one. Otherwise, I'll just run through them. 2007, right. Calvin Johnson, number 1. Jamarcus Russell, number 1. Calvin Johnson, number 2.
That's one of the 57 wide receivers that the Lions have taken with a number 2 pick. And so, that wasn't a bad pick. That was a good pick.
Okay. Well, let's do this really fast. I'm going to give you the number 2 pick. You give me the number 1 pick. Maybe that'll be easier. 2006, Reggie Bush. Number 1 was
Mario Williams.
Right. Okay, I figured you'd get these. 2002, Julius Peppers. Number 1 pick went. That's kind of a tough one.
That was 2000. Wasn't that Carr? David Carr from the
David
Texans?
Carr.
His year?
Yeah, you're right. Went to Houston. That was their expansion, right? That's
right. That was he was the first pick in the history of the franchise. Yes.
Right. 1999, Donovan McNabb was 2, and this quarterback went ahead of him, number 1.
Oh, come on. That was the year Achilles Smith went 3rd to the Bengals, and oh my God, they had the 2 quarterbacks. Right. Tim Couch went to Cleveland.
Right. That was very good. Very good. Very good. Okay, how about 1995? Tony Baselli was 2. Number 1 was?
Team. We're talking 25 years ago.
And I don't remember he played for, but it was Kajana Carter.
Oh, it was the Bengals. That was because he tore up his knee in one of the preseason games on the artificial turf.
Okay, 94, future Hall of Famer Marshall Faulk went 2, and this guy went 1. And Faulk was drafted by the Colts, not the Rams.
Yeah, because he was with the Colts there, and then they ended up when they took Edgerrin James later on. They traded him to St. Louis, which helped get the Rams that Super Bowl.
This one's kind of tough, but
94. What position did he play?
I just wrote the name down. I don't remember. Dan Wilkinson, remember him?
Oh, Big Daddy from Ohio, another Bengals number 1 draft pick.
Yeah, Bengals are bad for a
lot of years. From Ohio State, yeah.
Okay, we'll go way back now. 83 was a great draft. Okay, Eric Dickerson went number 1 in 83. That's a big year.
That's Elway.
Right.
Elway went number 1. And if you ever seen the movie Elway to Marino, which is an NFL Films 30 for 30 ESPN thing, great movie because they go through that entire draft and they show you how the San Diego Chargers passed on Dan Marino 3 times.
Yep. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Oh, I saw that. Oh, they look like idiots. Yeah. Why? How could you be a fan of them? Anyway, okay. 1981. We're getting back there.
I'm a masochist.
You're 81. You're only 11 years old, but Lawrence Taylor picked number 2. What running back was picked number 1?
George Rogers to the Saints.
Exactly. Good job.
South Carolina.
Yep, you're good.
Another Heisman winner, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. 77 Heisman winner Tony Dorsett goes number 2 because my Seahawks traded him away, and number 1 went
Ricky Bell to the Buccaneers out of USC.
Good job. Good job. Okay, 75. You're 5 years old. Randy White to Cowboys, and who went to the Atlanta Falcons?
Steve Bartkowski.
Right. Good job. The last one I have, 71, because we're here in Louisiana. Archie Manning went second to?
He went to the Saints, and the number 1 pick was Jim Plunkett to the New England Patriots.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Good job. Man,
and
you are
in that same draft, Dan Pastorini went number 3 to the Oilers.
And he had a good career.
Yes, he did. He took them to a couple of AFC championship games.
He sure did. Okay, we're going to change gears now and try to handicap a race for Wednesday. We handicapped one for you last week on the Sports Sphere show, and we went wah, wah, wah. It was bad. 88-1 beat us. We did have some picks underneath.
But I don't often pick 88-1 shots.
Nobody picking 8. I mean, on Class, on Trainer Jockey, it looked terrible, folks. It was just one of those races. And by the way, you pick these races that we handicap, Michael. Next time, don't pick any 7 furlong races. I hate 7 furlong races.
Well, I was torn between 2 races tomorrow at Will Rogers Downs. 1 mile for the opener, the very first race on the card, but I elected to go with the 6th race, which is an open $15,000 claiming race going 6 furlong, the classic sprint distance.
Okay, well, I will take that. And that is actually a 1 mile track, if people don't know, Will Rogers Downs. Small track, but I mean, it's a regular full-size track, but it's a minor track, if you will. But now it's on the big stage, of course. Give us your analysis. What do you think?
Well, I'm going to go with the horse on the outside, Chatterman, who is 10-1 on the morning line. Kerry Raven trainee. This one will have Ty Kennedy in the saddle. Has won 2 of the last 3 starts, including 2 victories in February at Paradise, my old stomping grounds. And then ran 7th in a $50,000 stake at Will Rogers last time out in April of 2020. So making a nice drop in class here. I think, and we discussed this a little earlier, there's plenty of speed in this race. I think the horse on the inside, Alexandros, is going to go. Hold for More, who's there, is going to go. Got My Mo is going to go. So there's going to be plenty of speed. Then Trapalanda also has got some speed in here, our second pick. I think that Chatterman, 10-1, we're going to take a shot and see. We're not going to get 88-1, but maybe we'll get something like 5 or 6-1.
Yeah, class is a little question mark for me in this race, but I like the fact that he can close ground. I see the speed backing up in the stretch. If he doesn't win, I think he hits the board. Should be a key in the top 3 spots. We both have the 7 Trampolanda in here. Jose Silva, only 3 starters on the meet, but 1 win, 1 third. Rye Eichelberry, tell me about that jockey. You saw that one out at Turf Paradise, right?
I called so many of his winners out there at Turf Paradise. He was the leading jockey there a couple of times when I was out there, right when I started, before he decided to move his tack over to New Mexico, and he's been riding there quite a bit lately, and now is at Will Rogers Downs in Oklahoma. So Rye's an outstanding rider, and he did get a victory by 6 lengths for this one last time out at Will Rogers Downs with an optional $5,000 claiming field. So coming on up a little bit in company.
Yeah, and then I've got the 6, and how can you leave Carl Broberg out of the trifecta? And he teams up with David Cabrera. They're winning the last 60 days. They won together with this horse at this distance, 2 back in Allowance Company. Last time out finished 3rd with Paulina Ramirez. That was at 5.5, but it was also on a bit of an off track. Now probably, I don't know what the weather forecast is, but back to maybe a fast track and good connections. That one should bounce back. And then I've got the 5 in their 4th, Just Blaze. Ken Tohill, you've probably seen him ride a light over at Houston, right? Didn't he ride at Houston a bunch?
Yeah, I did. He did ride there for some time. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, that horse can close ground, and if it completely falls apart, that horse could be picking up pieces late. Although that is a turf horse, and he hasn't done much on the dirt, which scares me a lot. So.
And I run out the top 4 with the 4. Got My Mo, who had a 5-race win streak over the course of 2018 into 2019, then took a significant amount of time off here since that last effort at Zia Park. ran third over there in November and is now making the 2020 debut tomorrow on Uncle Mo gelding for trainer Greg Tracy, who's winning this year at 27%. So I have the top four as 9,764. And Don, you have it 9,765, right?
That's correct. So people are going to say homers are thinking alike, but we handicapped this completely separately. We did not compare notes. It's just weird we came up with the same stuff, but I guess great minds think alike, right, Michael?
That's true. That's true.
Anyway, this is the second Sports Fear show here on the Horseman Don channel, and thank you for joining us. I'm going to throw two Michael Chamberlain trivia questions, and it's to do the horse racing theme. This will be a daily double. And if people will leave a comment below with these two correct answers, I don't know if they'll have it, Michael. I know you and I know the answers, but I don't know if they do. They may have to guess. But anyway, if they get them both right, then we'll mention it on the next show maybe, and maybe I'll send out a little prize. I got a lot of things I got on my announcement. Extended vacation, if you will. Okay, part number one of the Daily Double. What school did Michael Chamberlain attend in? Should we give him the state? That'd be too easy, right?
No, don't give him the state.
No, don't give him the state. Okay, what college did he or university did he graduate from? A, if you've heard him say that. B, who is his favorite all-time NFL player? Since we're talking about draft picks, and I don't know where he was drafted. Do you know where he was drafted?
I believe he was drafted to the team he ended up playing his whole career for.
Yeah.
And I believe he was drafted. Yes, he did. He won an MVP, and he was drafted in 1971.
Oh, you're giving him way too much information. Come on.
That's all.
Okay, so where did Michael graduate school from, and what's his favorite NFL player? So I had a lot of fun. This was a blast. You were actually, I know you have a sports brain. You have a mind like a steel trap with these, if you talk to Michael about sports or movies or TV, you're going to lose, folks. You're flat out going to lose. He's got a steel trap for a brain on those subjects.
As I always say, it's the more recent stuff that trips me up. You notice the further back we go, the better I do.
Yeah. I think in a previous life, you lived maybe 50 or 100 years ago in your prime. What do you like vaudeville, you like Broadway, you like musicals, you like all that stuff, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, actually, my Singing in the Rain was just on Turner Classics the other day, as was The Bandwagon, which is a very good Fred Astaire movie as well. It's a great movie. That's actually the movie where you get the song "That's Entertainment" from.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yes.
Okay, give me some old Wizard of Oz or something popular, and I would know about it. But other than that,
I don't like the Wizard of Oz.
That's not the Daily Double question. Give me the university Michael graduated from and his favorite NFL player. Okay, so anyway. Well, thanks, Michael. I appreciate all your help, your handicapping, your research. We'll watch the NFL draft on Thursday night and cross our fingers. We do a little better with our picks this week up at Will.
Yeah, let's hope.
Yeah, and we'll do it again in a few days. How's that?
Sounds good, Don. We'll talk to everyone again soon.
Thanks, Michael. Have a great day, everybody. Leave a comment, subscribe. Don't forget. Bye-bye.